हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं सेंट्रम से। धनंजय, थैंक्स फॉर ज्वाइनिंग। जो आंकड़े आए हैं कुछ हद तक कुछ एक नंबर जो है ऑब्वियसली एक्सपेक्टेड लाइंस पर हैं, तो मार्केट्स आर फॉलोइंग, कैसे देखना है?
तो एसेंशियली जो है ये जो जीडीपी नंबर है ये बेसिकली मोस्टली प्राइस्ड इन है और खास बात ये है कि इंक्रीमेंटली जो है आपका जो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर, कंस्ट्रक्शन सेक्टर, जो कोर एक्टिविटीज़ है और जो सर्विसेज सेक्टर है उसमें ऑन अ सिक्वेंशियल बेसिस तो देयर इज़ अ डिक्रीज। इम्पॉर्टेंट जो बात ये है कि आगे जाके जो सिक्वेंशियल ग्रोथ जो हम देख रहे हैं आईपी में, जैसे जो वो गिर के 7%, 7.1% हो चुका है, आगे जाके जो है जो हम देख रहे हैं कि ग्रोथ मोमेंटम जो है इंक्रीमेंटली सिक्वेंशली वो थोड़ा स्लो होगा, इसके कारण ईयर ऑन ईयर ग्रोथ भी आगे जाके कम दिखेगा। तो बेसिकली जो मार्केट में है वो कंसर्न है कि उनकी ग्रोथ मोमेंटम जो अब तक दिख चुका है पिछले 3 क्वार्टर में इंक्लूडिंग ये फर्स्ट क्वार्टर ऑफ FY11 वो आगे नहीं रहेगा। ये चीज़ जो है वो शायद मार्केट अभी फैक्टर इन करना चालू कर दे। सो फॉरवर्ड लुकिंग इंडिकेटर जो है उतना पॉजिटिव नहीं है जो बैकवर्ड लुकिंग इंडिकेटर है अब तक।
दत्ता साहब, अब तक की जो ग्रोथ स्टोरी थी काफ़ी हद तक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के नाम कही जा सकती है, एक अच्छा कंट्रीब्यूशन अब तक रहा है, तो क्या आगे की जो कंट्रीब्यूशन रहेगा वो मेजॉरिटी जो है उसकी वो फार्म आउटपुट की तरफ से देखा जा सकता है?
बिल्कुल देखा जा सकता है। मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का तो एक मेजर कंट्रीब्यूशन नो डाउट रहेगा, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग और सर्विस इंडस्ट्री का, पर उसके साथ साथ मैं समझता हूं कि हमारी इकोनॉमी के लिए जो सबसे प्रॉब्लमेटिक एरिया जो था दैट वाज इन रिलेशन टू एग्रीकल्चर एंड फार्म आउटपुट, और मैं समझता हूं कि अब जिस तरह से रिवाइवल प्रोसेस चल रहा है एग्रीकल्चरल सेक्टर में, और खास करके सेंटर का भी जो प्राइम फोकस है वो एग्रीकल्चर को लेके ही है, और सीधा
दत्ता साहब मॉन्टेक सिंह साहब का बयान सुनते हैं। चलिए
मॉन्टेक सिंह अहलूवालिया क्या कहना है इस आंकड़ों से?
It's possible that the industrial growth may be slightly slower. So on the whole, I think the predictions we've been making about 8.5% stay, as far as I'm concerned. Could be a little better, but we're not changing the forecast. When it comes to 8.5, you're maintaining that. Well, we haven't redone it, but let me put it this way. We were expecting the 8.5 would represent an average. Because as the base level effect wears off, you would expect in some areas that there would be some slowing down. I think the manufacturing growth is 12.6%. It's possible that in the rest of the year, I think it will remain double digits for the year as a whole. But it may come down at this point. On the other hand, agriculture will kick in very strongly. So also I expect that we will be pretty close to 8.5. Could be a little better, but broadly the same.
There is an expected result. Do you think there could be any chance of reducing monetary policy going forward?
That frankly depends entirely on the judgment as to whether inflation is coming down. I mean, I don't think that it's certainly true that with growth being high, there's no particular need for loosen monetary policy from the growth point of view. You're doing well. What happens to monetary policy depends on your judgment on the underlying rate of inflation.
And on inflation, what do you think with the...
Well, I remain of the view that if you don't look at year-on-year inflation, which is still a little high, the actual underlying movement of prices in the last 4 months, 5 months or so, suggests a very distinct moderation. And I remain of the view that I expect the inflation rate to be around 6% by December. Now, you know, if that is felt, normally that is felt to be a comfortable rate. But, you know, this is an issue that weekly or bi-weekly tweaking of monetary policy should be left to the Reserve Bank.
Because I believe in September there could be some kind of rethinking.
Well, you could keep speculating. A good central bank always likes people speculating about which direction is going to move, and I think you're free to do that. I don't particularly wish to speculate.
Does this kind of growth give room to maybe a bit more normalize, a bit more aggressive in fighting into?
Well, you know, I think this is the wrong way of looking at it. I mean, the objective of the RBI is not to simply start squeezing monetary policy and therefore it's looking for situations. The objective is always to calibrate monetary policy to the overall growth and inflation of the country. But I think as of now, the growth is doing quite well. The inflation rate year on year looks high, but I believe that the underlying movement in prices suggests that it is beginning to wear off, and you'll see that in the next couple of months. So they have.
Are we in a comfort zone when it comes to inflation?
Well, you should ask the RBI whether they are in a comfort. Let me say that when we say comfort zone, I'm not saying that the rate of inflation at the moment is acceptable. I'm only saying that the momentum of price changes has altered, and it is now in a situation where by December the inflation rate will be 6%. I don't know what the assessment of the RBI is.
I'm saying March.
Well, March, right? Then check up with me in December and you will see what the position is like. Okay? Absolutely. I think food inflation is high, but I'm very confident that our whole expectation about food depended very critically on speculation about production going down. I mean, the stocks are already quite high, but it's very clear that the monsoon, except for small parts of it, the monsoon on the whole is very good. So basically, we expect good food production, and I would definitely expect that you will see a continuing decline in food prices in the coming weeks.
This trend of high you would affect in many ways the approach to the trust plan. And what role you
well, the approach, let me say that what this trend is consistent with the assumptions that we have always made. Our assumption is that growth momentum is good. We need to do more to make the growth inclusive. So I think it's possible that we could be in a situation where somebody said that, even the momentum is broken. I don't think that's the problem. So I think we know how to get those policies are working well. We still need to do more, in my view, on inclusiveness. And I think what the approach paper will address is, first of all, Prime Minister is not satisfied with 8.5%. The Prime Minister said explore 10%. So while I think we can take some satisfaction that India's performance has been very good, certainly compared to the vast majority of other countries. If we want to achieve 10%, we have to do better. So the approach paper will look at that. I think it's also the case that we have to do a lot better on inclusiveness. And we are looking at the many, many issues that are coming up in that context. We are going to make the approach paper preparation a much more inclusive process. So we are working to set up a portal where the approach paper, the approach that we are taking, defining the first plan approach, will be shared with the public. They will have an opportunity to comment on it. And I expect that this portal will be ready in a week's time.
General public countries gave this feedback.
Well, no, we've always had feedback. Earlier what used to happen is committees would be set up and public would fight. The difference in the portal, the difference is whatever our thinking is will be constantly updated. And whatever inputs we get from different people will also be made available. So when you want to make a contribution, you will know what other people are saying. Otherwise, people get very worried. People make some recommendations not knowing that other people are making different recommendations. The only way you can really have a debate on these issues is if all the inputs that come into the planning commission are actually made publicly available. So that way, I think it will be a radically different approach. I hope that a lot of young people, that they are the ones that are most internet savvy, I hope that a lot of young people will get into the debate and address some of these issues.
Sir, another thing is this supplementary extra spending plan of the
Well, the supplementaries were all very necessary, and I expect that spending will, in fact, normally spending picks up after the monsoon. We are hoping that the main targets actually be met. We are also hoping that the fiscal deficit target will be met. The supplementary spending is part of an overall balancing exercise where there's more revenues that are coming in. So, I mean, it's good that we're able to increase expenditure without having to increase the fiscal deficit. So, I think that we'll be able to achieve both of them.
Will it be less, slightly less?
That I'm not in a position to judge, because whether it is less or not depends on many other expenditures and revenues. But I'm quite hopeful that the finance minister will be able to meet the fiscal deficit target in spite of the higher supplementary demand.
Maybe pressure on borrowing the second half. Less amount is
Well, as long as he's meeting the fiscal deficit, the pressure on borrowings will be whatever the pressure was. Well, I mean, month to month, I'm not looking at the year. Okay?
प्लानिंग कमीशन के डेप्यूटी चेयरमैन मोंटेक सिंह आलूवालिया सबसे पहले और एक्सक्लूसिवली लाइव जी बिजनेस पर आप सुन रहे थे उनका बयान जीडीपी नंबर्स आने के बाद। उन्होंने कहा कि अब कंफर्टेबली ये उम्मीद की जा सकती है कि एनुअलाइज जीडीपी जो है 8.5% से ऊपर होगा, और साथ ही उन्होंने ये भी कहा कि दिसंबर तक हो सकता है महंगाई की दर 6% तक आ जाए। उन्होंने उम्मीद जताई कि मानसून जो है वो काफी बेहतर रहा है देश के 4 राज्यों को छोड़कर बाकी पूरे देश में, और इसके चलते फूड इन्फ्लेशन जो है उसे उन्हें उम्मीद है कि काफी रिलीफ इसके चलते मिलेगी, जिसका इम्पैक्ट ओवरऑल पूरे महंगाई की दर के आंकड़े पर देखने को मिलेगा। हमारे साथ जी